Well, good morning and welcome once again to our business community support discussions that we've been doing each Thursday morning as we talk about the latest that's going on with COVID-19 and also sort of the latest happenings in our community as we begin to dig out of this and get our business community back rolling once again. Our regular contributors to this, myself, Jed Burns from Alpha Media, also Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Market Plus Digital.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we also want to say good morning to Chris Patrick, the director of Main Street Fort Dodge. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. So we have a great show on the slate for today. We've got some great guests that we definitely want to bring out and talk to. We've got Matt Johnson from Fort Dodge Ford Toyota. We also have Allan Rodenborn with Racing Unlimited and Aaron McKinney from the Iowa Outdoor Store. And as we get into talking about things, entertainment and the outdoors have been the one industry, I guess, that have been just a really interesting piece as we've seen lockdowns and everything. People are finding new ways to entertain themselves, new ways to exercise. And so I'm excited to find out kind of what's going on in some of these industries as we talk with some of these community leaders in our area.
Yeah, and I think we've got a real nice agenda, as you said, with Matt and Allan and Aaron talking about what's going on in their industries and what they're seeing and how they've been able to pivot one way or the other in this COVID-19 situation.
We've talked over and over again that it is so important to make sure that we're able to change, that we're able to make adjustments, and even more so on the fly as this whole thing has been going on. So let's go ahead and bring out the director of all happiness at Fort Dodge Ford Toyota, Matt Johnson. Good morning.
Well, everybody has to smile after that one, don't we?
I say I'm so blessed. I get to be with you guys this morning. Life is good. So it's true.
Well, thanks. And so, what we want to talk about today is just kind of like, what's been going on at Fort Dodge Ford Toyota since, if we can rewind the tape all the way back to March when it seemed like lockdowns were the thing. What was that like for you guys? What changes were happening? And I'm guessing pretty quickly back at that time.
Yeah, very interesting. Obviously, a lot of unknowns. And I, the first thing, we did is we have 75 people here at the store, and in our Ames location, we've got about 60. And so the first thing is reassure our employees to say, we're here to support you. We don't know what the future is going to bring, but we're going to take this day by day. We're going to work as a team. And so we felt fortunate. We were able to keep our team in place. We didn't have any layoffs and we didn't have any other things. And so that was my number one priority, was to say, I got your back. We're going to get through this. Secondly, we said, what does the landscape look like? What are the steps we're going to have to take to keep our employees and our customers safe? What's the market going to look like? What's inventory going to be? And then start working through all these other aspects. So, I remember we got people together in small groups and we said, I don't know what it's going to bring. Control the controllables. Let's examine and evaluate as we go. And we're going to have to be creative and things are going to be different. And for us and for our customers, and we just need to adapt, So that was kind of step one, to really see kind of, all right, how's this going to play out?
Early on, it seemed like the main thing that we were all looking at is, okay, if we're going to have customers in some way, whether that be through, bringing a car to test drive to someone's home or whether they're on the lot, is, how do we deal with the new climate of making sure that things are, decontaminated and clean? What sort of steps did you guys have to take there at the dealership to sort of handle that aspect of it?
So obviously added the additional cleanliness and things. And it's interesting, in the auto industry and a lot of industries, convenience is important. And so we've been migrating to, obviously doing video walkarounds and using technology to interact and to provide information, communicate with customers. And this has really accelerated that, and so there's been, where we maybe would have a handful of deals that we would, sell over the phone and do home deliveries and do the other things. Now it's the norm, and the things that people and consumers have adjusted their preferences to I don't believe are going to go anywhere, and again, and the ones that are going to survive, and is we want to do business in a manner that our customers want. And we found a lot of people like the convenience of getting the information quickly, using technology, whether it's Zoom or it's FaceTime or it's other things. So we had a lot of people say, hey, I need my car serviced, but I don't want to leave my home. Great, we'll come pick it up, we'll service it, we'll bring it back, we'll sanitize it, you're good to go, and so we've done a lot of that, whether it's sales or service. We're very fortunate in our facility. We have lots of space, so we're able to socially distance, within the facility and between employees. And so it's been very important for us to, obviously, the safety of our employees and our consumers has been the greatest concern. And again, and not knowing even from the experts how, the CDC, they say this, and then adjust to the, okay, now we're going to do this, and then we need to put these things in place. And so just making sure we're trying to stay ahead of what the requirements are, and still being able to take care of our guests. And so it's definitely been interesting, and again, evolving over time. And and the other thing that, a lot of people probably saw if they drove by, people would come by, and you get to June, we didn't have, we were half of our inventory, and so people say, well, what's going on? And the plant, like everybody else, the manufacturing plants, they all had shutdowns and weren't sure what's going to, so what turned into from a week to 10 days becomes 3 months of all the plants being down. And so and there were some markets we were watching, China and Japan and some of these other areas that it hit first. The new car market was down 80 or 90%. So Ford and Toyota and the other manufacturers, not knowing what's, we're probably a little conservative on production plans, and obviously they want to make sure they took care of their employees. And so with the long shutdown in the Midwest, we weren't as affected. Fortunately, we weren't as affected as badly as some of the other markets. And it seemed to rebound faster. So all of a sudden we're caught short, with no inventory. So here you get in a market where you're not sure what's going to happen, and then, we're running out of product. And so then that puts pressure on the used car market. So now used car prices have increased. And so it's been a really interesting cycle on, what's going on. And I'm sure Allan and Aaron will speak to similar things that, if people aren't traveling, and they're still employed, they do have some income, and they're just finding different ways to spend time as a family, or for entertainment or recreation, or those things. And again, we feel very fortunate that, we've been able to provide automotive sales and service, and we've been able to stay busy and support the team. So there's a lot of people in a lot worse situations. So we've been very, very fortunate. And now finally we're, production is starting to catch up, and you drive by now and we're probably at 80% of where we normally are. And so it's definitely been interesting, and so.
You talk about the supply of the product, and not only did you have a slowdown in the new car production, which puts pressure on the used cars, obviously, but then, about a month ago, we had a massive hailstorm come through. What did that do to the lot?
Interesting, and usually it hits kind of part of a town or 20 miles from us, or here it was most Fort Dodge, and so it's definitely put strain on all the body shops in town, including ours, and getting people taken care of, and then cars getting totaling and finding replacements, and so it's again, it's another those challenges and learning opportunities, and I can't be more grateful. We get the best team in the world, and so I'm so fortunate. Everybody just took it in stride and said, all right, let's take care of our customers and each other, and work through it, and that's all any of us can do. And so we live in Iowa. Fort Dodge is a great community. We all, when something comes up, and we've been fortunate, obviously derecho and the other things, missed us for the most part, but as a community, I'm so impressed with how everybody bands together to say, if we got a problem, let's figure it out. How do we help each other? How do we, how to support local businesses? How do we, and again, I truly believe we're big enough to have all the things, for entertainment and family and the other things, but we're small enough where people still care about each other. And you go to the grocery or Target or church or wherever it is, and your family and friends and neighbors and customers are all watching out for each other. And so, yeah, it's been a fun challenge, but and then, and I get the year of 2020, and I feel so bad, and I know we're not talking, and then the schools, and they get cyber attacks. It's like, what else is going to happen? So at this point, I don't think anything's going to surprise me, and I tell everybody, the more challenges, the better prepared you are for future. So it's good learning opportunities. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you could look into your crystal ball, do you have an idea of kind of what the rest of the year looks like for the auto industry? Is the trajectory at this point more product and more recovery?
Yes, I'm very optimistic. I don't want to predict anything at this point, but again, I feel very optimistic with where we're at and the things moving forward. Production seems to be stable. Economy's good. People are working. The consumer confidence is high. I think great things are to come for the maintain through the rest of the year and moving into next year. And and again, I think people are excited to when things when we get the other side of this, and to be interactive and social and out, and so I just feel strongly that things are going to continue to grow and get better. So I have every confidence in the world that we're on a good trajectory. And again, and in Iowa, we're agriculturally based. There's some other things that kind of help. We don't see whether it's California or New York or Florida or something, we don't see the high highs and we don't see the low lows. So we're insulated from some of that, which is nice. So we are a little bit more stable, and typically our consumers are a little bit more conservative. And so if we have something that comes up, we're typically, as a community or things, we're able to weather through it. And so, so I feel very, very optimistic about the future.
Great. Well, Matt, thanks so much for joining us today and kind of pulling back the curtain and showing us what's going on with the auto industry. Good luck with the rest of the year, and we appreciate you taking the time with us.
Well, thank you, Jed, Cheryl, Chris, everybody. Appreciate having me on. So you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, let's move right along and bring on Allan with Racing Unlimited, because I know that you guys are busy over there, Allan, right now with everything that's going on. Because I drive past the OHV park, and I've got to tell you, it has been busy just about every weekend.
Every weekend and during the week even, it's pretty amazing. The park it's had a lot of use in the past few years. And there's a contract for maintenance now that keeps the track and the park itself, the trails fresh, so that people aren't riding over ruts and washouts that happen. And it's made things a lot better. Plus, then the campground is open now, so that's a draw for sure. Everyone wants to get away, and if you do power sports, that's a great place to go and camp.
Yeah, when we talk about power sports, what does COVID look like? When we look at kind of how this has affected your business, I just believe there are some businesses that have maybe fared better than others, and I got to believe that maybe power sports is one of those, because people are taking more time to spend outside, enjoy the outdoors, and oftentimes that does include power sports.
Absolutely. We've been very busy. I think my take on it may be that a lot of parents are home. We're home with their children, whatever age, and they realize how tied up they are on their devices, their phones or their tablets or computer, whatever, and they don't like some of that. They don't like them to be so tied to that, and they want them to experience things for themselves, and they see that. And they can't, the kid's home because he doesn't have baseball this past spring or track or any sports, and so they want to know what they can do with the kids and together. And trail bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, it all kind of fit in. They thought that was a good opportunity, especially here in this area, because they had the park to go through. They didn't have to have a friend with a farm or a woods or anything. They can go to the park here, and it's public land. So they were excited to do that.
Yeah. Do you find that there are a lot of people entering the market who have never been in the power sports before? I mean, are you selling to a lot of new dirt bike users, new ATV users, new side by side users?
I think we are some, yeah. A lot of them, it may be that dad who's now 40-ish. It's been 25 years and he rode as a child or whatever, but things get in the way, school, careers, college, whatever gets in the way, and it falls by the wayside, and it's kind of getting back to their roots a little bit, and that's why they didn't have any hesitation to buy their kids a trail bike, not a race bike necessarily, but just a trail bike they can go out and have fun on and ride the trails. That's probably been the biggest increase we've had in sales was trail bike. Motorcycles that are small but not racers, just meant to have fun on. And
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that your industry has been all sunshine and roses since COVID happened, but something's telling me in the back of my mind that that's probably not the case, that you've been experiencing some part delays and things like that as well. But tell me, am I wrong? Have you guys been experiencing some delays and things like that when it comes to response from COVID?
well, early in the pandemic, we were one of the few that we stock a lot of things, so that's here. We normally have a lot of gear, and which gear means clothing and helmets and all that other stores don't have. So that helped us a lot to have them here, and we can replenish from our warehouses fairly easily. But it eventually wore on, and some of the warehouses were closed because they were in areas that had a high concentration of the virus, and so they had to be shut down, and other warehouses had to compensate for them. So it was kind of a vicious cycle. And these people that make, say, helmets or clothing, they do these big runs, and it's the kind of almost like model years like a car. So when the 2020 stuff was sold out, it was sold out, and there just was nothing we could order for a few months. And yeah, our shelves embarrassingly look thin a lot of the time, and it's just the manufacturers don't have it, and some areas.
Yeah, speaking from a guy who has who does love power sports, who loves motorcycles and things like that. I've always enjoyed it when you can go into a location and they have things on the shelves and you can try on helmets or jackets, and so it's good that it does sound like it did give you some period of insulation while you still had some of those products on the shelf. But at the end, we all run through that at some point, right?
Right. It does for sure, and a lot of dealers have kind of fallen into the trap of saying, well, if I have this stuff here, people just look at it and they buy it on the internet anyway, and why do I have this here? But I guess my philosophy is, if you don't have it, they certainly aren't going to buy it. And if you tell someone, well, I can order that for you, I mean, the first thing they're thinking is, well, I can order it. I don't need to have you order it. I can do it myself. So, and another thing, maybe a little bit cynical, but people, everybody thinks that price is the main thing, and price is a very important thing, but the main thing is availability. And people, if they see it on your shelf, they don't want to wait 3 days to order. They want it right now. They want to hold it in their hand and take it home and walk out the door with it. So we try to give them every opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more. When you look at the actual machines, how has the production been with that? Are you able to keep machines in stock, from side by sides to trail bikes? How has that been?
That's been difficult. The production, I don't think, has changed hardly at all. I know Kawasaki, a lot of their side by sides, most of them are built in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that plant was only shut down for 2 weeks. But they can only build them so fast, and they have the lead-ins for all that stuff of having vendors make parts they don't make, injection molded parts or tires or whatever. The lead in on those are months. So when they're having a sudden increase in sales, it's very hard for them to step up quickly. And as far as the trail bikes and everything, Kawasaki, like everyone else, makes those machines, the 2020s. It's a little different than cars. In cars, they're just constantly making them, and they just change over, and it's a different. But with motorcycles, they make one model for a month or 6 weeks, and they switch to another model, and so each year's machines are limited. It's a finite number, and once they're sold out, they're sold out. So, we've had folks that have been waiting for 3 months for machines. And it's sad, but it's when that kid does get it after 3 months, you ought to see their face. That's really exciting. That they do finally get it. And as a kid a guy who rode a lot as a kid, I certainly can remember back to those times of how cool it was when you got a new dirt bike. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty great thing. When we do have more people out on the trails, though, we also have more people who are breaking parts. And so what does the service end of it look like? Are you guys able to get people in and get them serviced at a pretty quick pace? What's that looking like right now?
Well, this has probably been more of a challenge for that the new year in the past. We have 3 techs going wide open, but there's only so many hours in a day, and we'd love to hire another one, but to find someone, and especially in this with the pandemic, people aren't moving or changing cities or anything. So we've been muddling through, and we've been trying a different method of scheduling, and I'm not sure whether it works or not yet. But
yeah, well, I think the bottom line when it comes to any of this stuff is you're looking at a way higher capacity going on right now. There's just more people on the trails and when you're on the trails, you break things. That's just the nature of the power sports industry.
Well, and whether you break it or you just it's time for an oil change. No matter what, you're out there using it, and so we've actually seen maybe less incidents of breaking things because people are more in tune to their machine. They're not riding it once every 6 weeks. They're riding it all the time, so they're looking at it and they know what's going on. And if the chain's worn out, they're going to replace it rather than letting it go until it breaks. So
yeah. Well, it's good, Allan. It sounds like you're definitely dealing with some of the issues that many of the businesses are dealing with when it comes to COVID, and you're doing what we think people should be doing. And so kudos to you, because it is a situation where you have to pivot, you have to change what you're doing to meet the changing times. And so it sounds like there's kind of been a lot of that going on over the last few months.
Thank you. Yeah. We have good people, and they've risen to the occasion, and we've had our customers are patient as far as understanding that we can't manufacture the parts here in at least not all of them in our stores, so we have to rely on the vendors, and they understand that things are held up.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing I know, Allan, it's that there's few things that put a smile on a person's face like the engine on a power sport vehicle. And so I definitely know that you're in the business of giving people a lot of joy when they get out there on the weekdays or weekends and enjoy that OHV park and enjoy their machines. So keep up the good work, and I know that we'll get through this just like we have every other challenge that we've faced.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Allan. We appreciate your time.
Bye, Allan.
Yep. Thanks, Allan.
We may have to call this the happiness episode, because we bring in Matt Johnson, who's the director of happiness, and then we start talking about all these other fun things that we've been doing with our time and our weekends, and And it's good to talk about some of the things that we've been enjoying in our downtime. And so let's bring on Aaron McKinney with the Iowa Outdoor Store, because it's just a continuation of more happiness going on. Aaron, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. It's really good. It's good to have you on. And if you would talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing, because I'm guessing that you're coming up with some of the things that the other guys are, and that would be just a lot more demand for many of your products right now.
Yeah, it is. The inventory when we started was pretty good because we keep a pretty high volume, kind of to reiterate what everybody else has said. But I don't think I've ever seen a time in my lifetime when you couldn't get a fishing sinker. I mean, really, or a fishing hook that were sold out. But as far as inventory goes, it's been a constant challenge. Sales are up, which is really, really good. Not going to complain about that at all. But keeping inventory in stuff, we had some plant shutdowns for fishing and for bows and for firearms, ammunition short. So it's a constant battle to keep that stuff in stock, do as good as we can, and keep people interested in the sport.
Obviously there's a lot of downside to COVID-19, but do you think that there's been a resurgence in the outdoors since this all happened?
Yes, huge. You see a lot of people that I have never even seen before coming into the store, and a lot of people that you see maybe once or twice a year coming in daily or every couple of days because they want to get out and do something. They want to get out and enjoy time with their family. Fishing is a very easy way to do that. The fishing market, I would say, has probably more than doubled, maybe tripled this year, just because people are looking for something to do, staying close to home, but enjoying that family time. It's really hard to give up that stuff because you need that family time. You need a little vacation. You need to kind of take a breath, come up for air every once in a while, especially in these crazy times.
Yeah, well, this all started in March. So, back in March, what did that look like for you guys? Did you guys close the store for any period of time? How did you keep your employees safe? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, we never closed. We started off, and we're a family business, so we don't have a bunch of employees, but we have a few. What we tried to do at the start was rotate, where we had so many on, so many off for 3 days on, 3 days off. But we found out people wanted to fish. People wanted to hunt, people wanted to shoot, so we had to have all hands on deck. So the big things we do when our customers come in the door, we make sure everything is clean it daily. We also wear masks when our customers come in. It's up to them if they want to wear them, but we come in contact with so many people. We feel that to keep our customers safe, we should probably wear masks because just so many people we come in contact with.
Sure. You guys really do cover a lot of outdoor products, right? I mean, you've touched on fishing to bows to guns and ammo and that sort of thing. Has there been any particular facet of the store that has been busier than others, or is it really across the board?
The only thing that really hasn't sold well this year are mowers, and I think we all kind of know that because of the drought. But across the board, it's been really good. We've been really lucky. Like I said before, because people still want to do stuff. A lot of people, I think, in Fort Dodge area have been keeping their jobs, so there's a little bit of money available for the most part, which is good, especially if you're in a retail business. But across the board, it's been really, really good. I would say fishing is probably up the most overall, then followed by the shooting sports.
Okay, so when you're dealing with some of these product slowdowns and product just being unavailable, what do you do as a business owner? I mean, are there other sources that you look to that you maybe didn't have to start with? What do you do when you run into situations like that?
Yeah, we try to look at every source and gain new sources if we can. Even sometimes that could mean calling up another retail store. We might have to pay retail on it. We might not make the margins we need to make, but at least we're still supplying that to our customers so they can still have the product. It's just something you have to do as well as you can, even if it's buying something at retail, just so you can get some, getting a fishing rod in somebody's hand so they can enjoy it.
Yeah. When you look at the product slowdowns, is this an issue of just a run on the products, or is it a combination of that, or have there been plant shutdowns on the production end of itself? What do you attribute the lack of product to?
It's kind of as a perfect storm with the pandemic. A lot of that product comes from overseas. So a lot of those containers get held up when they come in. The other thing is there was a couple plant shutdowns for a couple weeks, not a long time. And then it's just the popularity of the sports that have grown again. So again, kind of like Al was saying, there's only a finite number of rods they can make in a year, or a finite number of handguns or ammunition. There's only so many components that the companies can get. So it was just kind of a perfect storm all in all. The plant shutdowns, which was minimal, luckily, the popularity of shooting, of fishing, of archery again, and there's just way more people involved in it.
Sure. Well, what would be your suggestion for consumers who are out there and they're saying, I'm looking for ammo, or I'm looking for lures, or whatever it is that they're looking for, and they're struggling to find it? What would be your recommendation?
That's a good one, because there's not much of the stuff out there. But if you can, the more people you can contact, even looking online, checking different stores in your area is always good. Making a few phone calls before you drive to places is always good, especially with the pandemic going on. Checking online. It's just tough, with the ammo companies. Like I kind of hit on before, there's only so many primers and powders and casings and bullets that can be done. So they're coming up with a shortage to actually make the ammo. So, and if they can't make it, then there's a shortage there when it comes to the buyer. So the big thing, I think, is just keep checking different spots, keep checking regularly with the people that you shop with, because it might come in on a Tuesday, it'll be gone on Wednesday. So you want to make sure that you keep checking, sometimes daily. I have people that call daily checking, and they're the ones that usually get the ammo because they're kind of keep on top of it. Or if a fishing rod comes in, they check pretty regularly.
You bring up a great point when you start talking about the ammo, and I have to wonder, has there been a push towards more folks doing reloading, or are those in short supply as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a push, but the problem is most of those big manufacturer companies are going to take all the components. You're not going to see much of them get out to the retail market. Hornaday, Federal, Remington, Winchester, all eating up those components. So you won't see much of the reloading supplies out there.
Got it. Okay, so there's something that you touched on that I just have to flesh out a little bit, because it's something that I know Cheryl has talked about a lot, and we've talked about it with Chris a lot, and that's people shopping online. And it's interesting to hear somebody who's a business owner who says, check online, and you don't seem to be afraid of that. Tell us a little bit about where that mindset comes from.
Well, we have a really good, solid customer base, and I think here in Fort Dodge, I see it a lot. People do support their own; they support their small businesses. I feel they really do. But if it's something I can't provide to them, I wholeheartedly say look online if you can't find it at our store. Sure, I want them to check my store first to see if I have it or if I can get it. But if I can't, I'm all for them to check it out, because I still want them to enjoy the sport. I still want them to be in that sport. If they can't be, then they can't buy other things down the road. So if it's just one or two things, that they're needing to get, by all means, check it out. But come to me first.
There you go. Great perspective, Aaron. I appreciate your thoughts on it. So thanks for joining us today and sharing with us all that you have going on in the outdoor industry.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
You bet.
Yep,
Thanks,
see ya.
Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Well, guys, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with that, because it's just something that you don't hear a lot of from business owners who say, go check online, go see if you can find it, and that's okay. And frankly, people are going to do it anyway. But to hear a business owner who's not afraid of it is very refreshing.
Yeah, it is, and that just shows he's more interested in servicing the customer, and in the long run, he's going to benefit, because they're going to come back and say, even when he didn't have it, he gave me suggestions of other places to go.
Exactly right. That's great, and that just shows kind of the caliber of entrepreneurs that we have here in the Fort Dodge area who really do pivot and find ways to make things work. Cheryl, we put in the slideshow today something that kind of reiterates some things that we've been talking about all show long, and that's talking about the resurgence of the outdoor industry. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, yeah, this was actually, as you see, reprinted from the Outdoor Industry Association, and I believe it was like August 20th or something like that. So it's very, very recent. And it just shows you the difference in the significant, as it says here, Americans took up new activities in significant numbers in April, May, and June of 2020. And among the biggest gainers were running, cycling, and hiking. And going through, it's refreshing to see the getting back to the group and or to the family and going out and seeing nature and that type of thing. And I hope that when the pandemic actually goes away, which I'm being very optimistic that will happen, that we continue in that direction. I think it's great to see that, here running, bicycling, day hiking, bird watching. Who would have thought bird watching would have increased? But I can see that be fun as a great way to get outside. And I've also noticed that we have a lot more birds outside or in the country area as well since the pandemic. So I don't know what that means.
Sure. But I definitely think that we've all seen it. And if you want to, I guess, look at some bright sides, there definitely are some when it comes to, folks doing family game nights, folks going for walks, that just the health of people who are going on walks and maybe hadn't been doing that in a while, and biking and fishing and just so many things that have been positive effects. And they're sort of easy to find lately when we think about the pandemic, because people have really turned back to some of those things that maybe we've always enjoyed and maybe even forgot about.
Yeah. And I think it's a real positive out of all of this. And I think it brings the families closer together and gets them to understand that there are, and I hate to say there are other things other than digital, but there are things out there that we need to get out and about and see what's going on.
Every once in a while, we aren't online, Cheryl.
That's right. Everyone.
Well, Chris, give us an update, because you've got a lot going on as well. There's a lot going on with Main Street right now. And so kind of share with us what's going on in your world.
Well, yeah, just a few things this morning. Unfortunately, my first piece of news isn't all about happiness, and that is the fact that we did decide to cancel Farm to Fork this Saturday. Very hard decision to do that, but we want to keep everyone safe, healthy, and the weather wasn't really cooperating either. So we postponed it. It is going to happen, but it's going to happen in 2021 instead of Saturday. On a happier note than that, though, we had a pre-construction meeting again for our downtown revitalization project. And you're going to see some more changes on some of those great historic buildings in the downtown. They're going to start working on the Brass Monkey next week. And Little Joe's is going to get a new storefront here pretty soon. So keep your eye out. All of these stores are going to continue to be open. You don't need to call ahead. There'll just be some fabrication over the entryway so people can still get in and go shopping in brick and mortar stores in the downtown. Also, Iowa Workforce Development had a couple announcements this morning that I did want to share. The first one was that the Iowa Work Centers and satellite offices are promoting limited in-person access, and that the Iowa Workforce Development has reinstated the work search requirement. So if you are on unemployment right now, you will have to start making some searches for new employment. But good news is that the Department of Labor did report that, let me find my number just a second. I was scrolling through my announcement. The number of continuing weekly unemployment claims for August 30th through September 25th had a decrease of 4,233 in the state. So that was really good to know that amount of people did get back in the workforce. So I thought that was pretty important to share. And also a total of $1,006,048 of benefits has been paid in benefits the week of August 30th. So lots going on. If you don't get updates as an employer or a business, you can actually go into Iowa Workforce Development and get their newsletters, so you can keep your employees informed about what's going on and what other benefits may be out there if you do have to furlough people. Hopefully people don't need to do that anymore, but just in case.
Well, there's definitely, I think, a trajectory towards increased jobs. We've seen that on a national level and also here here on the state level. People are returning to work who have maybe been out of work for a little while. So there's definitely a trajectory of getting people back to work. And I think that's certainly a good thing. So we're headed the right direction. I mean, I think, hopefully we can look back a year from now and it was all just a terrible nightmare.
It was a big adventure for all of us, right?
That's right. It was an adventure. A really good learning experience, if nothing else.
And I think all three of our guests today really brought out, again, how resilient our small businesses are. And I really think, I'm going to go on being on the positive side, that a lot of this has probably built their confidence up in many ways as to being able, okay, I made it. I figured out what to do. I troubleshooted the situation. We made it. We're still open. Our employees are still there. I think that adds another level of confidence. And also, when you add that level of confidence, it does help businesses to look at the next step. How can I grow my business more? What else can I do to get to that point? And where can I take my business from here? Maybe I've been sitting on the sideline and, I hear the story of go big or go home. Maybe now it's time to go big. And I hope that 2021 is an example of that.
Well, I think there's certainly opportunities for growth, and many of the businesses who have found ways to change in today's landscape. I think Matt hit the nail on the head when he said, I don't think they're going away. I don't think, people's habits have changed. The way that people buy cars is probably going to be different henceforth, right? I don't know that those things necessarily go back to the way they always were. And so, we've been forced to change in many ways, but gosh, we've just got some great business owners in Fort Dodge who have found ways to innovate and who have found ways to do their job even better. And those things, I think, are going to stick around for many years to come.
I totally agree.
Well, we didn't have Kimberly Tiefenthaler on the call today, but that's because the SBDC is moving.
Yeah, they're moving to the college.
Yeah. So we'll probably have them on here in a show very soon and talk about what that move means and the availability of having an office at the college. So they'll be joining us really soon. But I want to say thank you to all our guests who joined us today. They all did such a great job sharing about their business in automotive and the outdoor industry. So thanks to all our guests. Please share this on your social media sites and get it out to everybody. If you think there was some good information, share it to your sites, and we'll be happy to see that as well. Again, Chris Patrick, the Executive Director of Main Street Fort Dodge, and Cheryl O'Hearn, Marketing Director of Spin Market Plus Digital. For everybody, I'm Jed Burns from Alpha Media, and we'll see you again next Thursday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.